Young and old determined to exercise their democratic right.
We've been here since 5 o'clock.
Just over 2 million Liberians had registered to vote at polling stations across the country. For some, the manual system was slow and frustrating. And in the heat, tempers flared. Observers, however, praised the Electoral Commission for handling the challenges.
I saw a couple of challenging situations. For example, some voters who showed up with their voting cards, but whose names were not on the list. And the good news is that they were allowed to vote and their names were filled out on a separate provisional list.
Combating poverty and corruption are big issues for those who voted Tuesday. But the top priority for now is keeping things peaceful. It's been one of the most hotly contested elections in Liberia's history. Long lines have been reported across the country, and the enthusiasm displayed by voters has not been dampened by the challenges in the process.
First of all, I feel very happy to be part of this process because I want to vote for my future and the future of my kids.
This is very significant for we, the young generation, because it's like we are being deprived so many times for some such opportunities.
Counting was due to begin once the polls close at around 6 p.m. local time. But the Electoral Commission has given itself until 25th October to release the final result. Nagila, CGTN, Monrovia, Liberia.
Let's get more details on the elections there from CGTN's Robert Nagila, who joins us live from Liberia's capital, Monrovia. Robert, polls should be closing soon. What is the situation like right now?
Well, a very good evening, Penina. You're absolutely correct. Officially, polling stations around the country should be closing in about 40 minutes. Now, the scene you're basically seeing behind me is replicated across 5,400 polling stations scattered across this country. You had the bulk of voters, it appears now, voting early this morning, way into the afternoon. And now you're just having the last-minute voters, those who were either waiting for the lines to go down or who had other things to do and decided to come much, much later. Now, I'm at a polling station bang in the middle of Monrovia, the capital of Liberia, and as you can see, they've more or less finished voting. Most of the registered voters registered at this particular polling station, which had about 6 streams, have all voted. So we're just waiting for the 40 minutes to lapse, and immediately after that we expect the counting of the votes to commence. We did speak to observers earlier on and electoral officials, and so far everybody seems to be in agreement that the process, despite a few niggly challenges here and there, has been smooth. But I hasten to add that we've not received reports from all the polling stations around the country. Penina?
So, Robert, polls closing in under an hour. Immediately after that, vote counting begins. So when do we expect results, or at least an indication on the outcome of the vote?
Well, according to the electoral law here, within the well, first let's put the electoral law aside. We expect to begin knowing who's going to be in the lead by late tomorrow or afternoon or evening. We should have a good idea of who's leading. But in terms of when the results will be, we expect preliminary results within the end of the week. And then the Electoral Commission has at least 2 weeks up until October 25th to release the final results. That's within the electoral law, so there's no argument there. We are yet to hear from the candidates themselves in terms of if they were happy with the voting process throughout the day. But that's now coming to an end, and we're moving to the next process, which is the counting. And this, if you compare with many elections across Africa and much of the world, we just had one in Kenya, which was the same case. This is now where most controversies begin to crop up. So the counting process here will be watched very, very closely by observers, the Electoral Commission, by the candidates. There are thousands of party agents scattered across all these polling stations, especially for this particular process, the counting of the votes. So this is now where everybody begins to take note. Penina?
All right, Robert Nagila, live for us in Monrovia. Thank you, Robert.